I don't think that's going to be on the table. Not for a few years. The way that this sounds, right? I mean, people have to remember this isn't just like James Cook, 4 years. It's a 4-year extension. He has 1 year left in his rookie deal. This is essentially a 5-year deal. He's going to be with the Bills for the next several years. Now, short of injury, and the Bills keeping him healthy because of, his running style and not giving him the incredible workload that some of the running backs have. I think that they plan on him being their lead back here for the next, several years.
That's maybe, for me, Sal, the wildest thing about this. I mean, I could have envisioned a scenario where Cook got close to his desired money, but through 2029, you can get out of these things, and eventually it becomes less painful to do so, but that was always part of the equation for me is, would the Bills want to commit to him at a healthy pay rate for years? And I thought, he didn't have a deal, so I guess I might have assumed maybe they didn't. But they got there.
Yeah, the term isn't as much for me, Mike, because as you said, I think that, you can always get out of these things. Look at the guarantees of $30 million. So let's just say after, 2 years of the extension, so 3 years from now, and they're like, you know what, we're going to pull the chute on this and do something different, then you've sunk $10 million a year in them, really, is what it amounts to. Maybe it could be more, depending on certain structures and things like that. So I think that's always kind of a way to look at it. The salary cap is always going up. There's always ways to kind of move things around. Dead money you can take on. You can also restructure contracts. To me, it was always the number. 12 still felt a little bit higher than what the Bills would always kind of be wanting to do at at this position, that type of money. But I think that, they needed to get this done for a few reasons. Number one, obviously, James Cook is a really terrific player. He's a big part of their offense. There's no doubt about that. But I think even, listening to Brandon Beane talk today and even hearing Sean talk with you guys a little while ago, there's an element here of, let's not let this thing linger. We can't let something derail our season here. He's a good player. Let's get this thing done. I always thought about it this way. If James Cook told the Bills, you know what, I don't really need to resign. I'm going to bet on myself and have a monster year, and I'm going to go to the highest bidder next year. Would the Bills have been super eager and saying, okay, we need to get you done? I'm sure they want him back, as Brandon Beane said. I would never question that. But I think this came to a point where the Bills just said, we need to get this done now because this is becoming an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, we can't know how players, honestly, I know how they talk publicly, and a lot of that is believable. Like they want the guy to get his money, but it's a team and it's a business, and we understand all that. So just sort of keep your head down and keep your nose out of that, right? Nobody ever wants to say anything that's critical of either the team or the player in that situation. If you're another player on the team, it's just sort of like, if that were me, I wouldn't want people kicking at me and doing what I feel I need to do. So that's how that usually goes. But I wonder, internally, for a team that has such high expectations here, right? I mean, we know the lay of the land here. They're another year into being a favorite for the Super Bowl. It's easy for me to sit here on the outside and go, don't worry about it. He doesn't have any leverage, and don't sweat it. Let him walk. You can replace him next year going into a season that has really, I don't want to say Super Bowl or bust, but that's what a lot of the fan base sounds like.
Yeah, we've always said, and I think Brady even referenced this today, players pay attention to who gets paid and the respect of their teammates and, how the organization is treating people, right? So I think there was always from a fellow locker room standpoint, we want our guy to get paid, but it's also hey, we need him out here. So, you don't want to necessarily pick sides, right? No one's doing that because you're rooting for James Cook, but you also know that he's a big part of what you do. And you want to have him on the field, and you're going to start game planning for the Baltimore Ravens here within the next probably week or so. You're going to start doing that. So this was always a big part of the equation, I think, when you put the entire puzzle together. I mean, guys, after practice today, I don't know if you saw my tweet about this. We waited I talked with Terrell Bernard and also Greg Rousseau, who had signed their extensions this year, about James getting his. And then a bunch of the media, we waited for Christian Benford. He was on the field pretty late doing some things. So finally, Benford comes over, and first question is, what do you think about, James Cook, now that you guys are all together? And he literally, I'm not kidding, he legit did not know. He did not know James Cook signed a contract extension. And I said to him, yeah, he signed a 4-year extension, reported $48 million, $30 million guaranteed. And his response was, fire. He said, was the first word he used, congrats, big dog. And he just had all these things to say about James Cook. And it just dawned on me that, like, Christian Benford is doing his thing. Like, he's doing what he needs to do. He's letting this impact how he plays football. Yeah, he knows this is out there, but, like, he's got to go out and do his business.
It's like when Allen didn't know that Trey White was on the team again.
Right.
You gotta get some better Wi-Fi out there.
Which I still wonder was how much he really didn't know.
I know.
But, he said that. But because I thought about that same thing, Mike, but I'm not kidding you. Like, Christian Benford did not know that James Cook signed a contract extension today.
There are lots of times when I pretend to not know things. That's not to say that would be the case today. Why would he need to fake that? Sal Capaccio on the West Her hotline. Well, if you haven't spoken to this yet, as far as you're concerned, will this be worth it? I think if anybody's critical of the terms, the compromise is, well, for this year, my headache's gone. Like, I don't have to worry about that, and that's good. Yesterday I told you I thought it would be negligent if the Bills couldn't get a deal done with Cook, but I never thought it was really going to land this high with the dollar amount and guarantees and years even. So will it be worth it? Is it for you, Sal, one of those where probably down the road this will be the headache will return, but you're not going to worry about that right now?
I think it's a risky thing to pay a running back this much money. I do. And I just think that the Bills have treated this position the right way, which is we don't invest really big assets or really big money into this position. He's also a really good player. He's very important to them. When you ask, is it worth it, there's two ways to look at that. Number one is the money worth it based on what he does for the team, $12 million, look at the comparables, the other guys in the league. I think that's super debatable no matter who you ask. You could poll probably 50 Bills fans and pretty much get half and half. Some will say, yes, it is. Some will say, no, it isn't. They shouldn't have paid him that much. Where I think that the Bills, I think James Cook won in that regard, right? I think James Cook got paid, and he got paid $12 million, and that's good money, and he got $30 million guaranteed. Whether he should have gone about it the way he did or what our feelings might be about the agent and how he handled things, at the end of the day, I think they kind of did a good job here for themselves. But I think where it could be worth it for the Bills is this is a guy that they've identified with Greg Rousseau, Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford, and Khalil Shakir, that they're all the core group that they're trying to win a Super Bowl with over the next 5 years with Josh Allen. It's 1 plus another 4. Allen's under contract for 6. They have clearly made that identification, which is this is our core. We went with Micah and Jordan and Stephon Diggs and Mitch Morris and Gabe Davis. We got close. It didn't work out. This is the new core. We talk about that with hockey a lot. This is the new core in football. And I think from that standpoint, it's worth it where you've identified your guy. You don't have to worry about who that guy is. You know what? A couple of years from now, could there be some financial pains? Sure. But you deal with that because he's a really good player, and you do not have to worry about doing anything different with this offense for the next few years.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline with us. The Bills will travel to Chicago tomorrow, I presume in the afternoon, and then practice jointly with the Chicago Bears on Friday. They will play a preseason game Sunday night in Chicago. Sal, how about the Deion Dawkins information we got from McDermott last hour? A back flare-up is what it sounds like, and it doesn't sound super serious at this point, at least.
It doesn't, I agree, but for him to say they hope it calms down the next 24 to 48 hours and he can practice, I mean, that's still in question, right? Whether he's going to practice on Friday and whether or not he's going to play in the game on Sunday. I think this is the kind of scenario and situation where you want as many starters available for Friday, obviously. That's really good work against the Bears. That's a joint practice, one-on-ones, 11-on-11, inside drill for the line, whatever, tackles against edges, all that stuff that Deion's going to be a part of. So from that standpoint, it's concerning. It's also, to me, concerning for the fact that you have injuries on the offensive line right now, guys. I mean, Spencer Brown has had his back flare up, but you know what? At least he's been there, and things have been good for about a week or so. It feels like that's on the right track. Tylan Grable is in concussion protocol right now, right? So he's not out there. He's not working. So, I mean, suddenly Ryan Vandermark just became a really important piece of the Buffalo Bills roster. Not that he wasn't, an important depth part, but I mean, way more than that even. This is a guy that might have to start at left tackle or at right tackle if something were to continue happening, another back flare up to Spencer Brown. This is why it's important to me, and this is why it's concerning for me, which is you're you now have to start thinking about, what it looks like going forward with some of these guys. With Deion personally, Deion's been very durable, very available in his career. It sounds to me like this is something that they're just going to make sure that they have taken care of before they put him on the field to make sure that he's right for week one, if not obviously way before that.
You know, also add Alec Anderson to that pile of
right.
like working himself back. I mean, he's a guard, not a tackle, so it's not really pertinent to the conversation about Dawkins and Brown, but it is another offensive line situation, and it's a guy that played a good amount last year in a very specific role.
No, that's right. And Alec Anderson did practice today, by the way. It did individual work and position work, I should say. He wasn't fully out there. He did individual and position work today, which is great to see. Caught up with him after practice, and just like you would expect Alec Anderson to be a little bit, have a little edge to him about not practicing, right? He's like, it sucks not to be out there with his team. He really wants to. He's been trying to get out there. He's putting the faith in the training staff. He obviously trusts them. But he wants to be out there and help his team. There's no doubt about that. And, yeah, he's another guy that you can add to that mix.
Sal, I guess this is getting back to Cook, I suppose, but just thinking about, I hear Alec Anderson's name, and I think about the Bills' identity last year and just what they were on offense. And some of the conversation around Cook was, well, is he going to play more? If I'm going to pay him at this much of a higher rate, do I need to use him more? Do you think the Bills' staff cares about that? Like, would any of this be a sign of increased usage for James Cook? Because I think, A, why would they want to do that, given the success they just had using him the way they did? And B, well, now there's a long-term investment. You might want to be careful with his usage, thinking about now that you're committed for years to come. They were so successful, I guess that was A. Do you think there's any reason to predict a different kind of workload for Cook?
No, unless James Cook shows that he can do a few things differently or better than he has, like pass protection, and maybe you can squeeze him on third down a little bit more. But that's completely separate than I think what you're asking, which is I would say that there is no reason whatsoever that the Bills would believe just because they paid him more, they have to use him more. And by the way, I think that would be a terrible philosophy if the Bills did think that.
Same.
The reason James Cook is getting paid is because of what he does right now, what his role is. So why would you make it any different to me, right? Like, this is this guy for this role. He's really good at it. We're going to pay him for it. It's not, we're going to pay you more, so you better do more now. I don't see that at all. I do like your point, though, Mike, about the long-term investment. I think they have to be careful with that. I don't think it's any less usage either, right? Like, this is the perfect kind of role for him to maintain his long-term usage and to keep him doing exactly what he's doing right now, where you don't have to say, no, we're paying you, so you have to, perform more and play more on the field. I mean, if that's not what he's good at, that's not what is his best role, then I'll use your word. Like, that would be negligent, I think, and the Buffalo Bills would do something like that. Their job is to win football games and, put these guys in the best position possible, not put players in the field because they're making a certain paycheck.
Why can't the Twins ever beat the Yankees?
9 in a row now.
I don't think they've ever – I don't believe these stats. I don't think they've ever beaten the Yankees once.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I know. Every time they play, I'm like, oh, my God, like, the Yankees win the series. They sweep the series generally. You got 9 in a row now, Bulldog? Is that right?
I saw on the crawl today they've beaten them 9 games in a row.
It's 9 in a row, which goes back a couple of years, I guess, and including playoffs at home, 31-5 in their last 36. Wow. Again, I don't think these 5 exist. I think they're just being kind because the Twins are down.
This is the Tom Brady Patriots against the Bills.
It's almost that. It's almost that. And their games are almost never close.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. It's great. I mean, like, sometimes teams just – I mean, I don't know. Baseball can be like this too, I guess. The team is just in your head, and you get into a funk. You see the pinstripes to the other side, or whatever it is, and suddenly your bats go cold or whatever. But I mean, I'm not complaining. The Yankees need as many wins as much help as they can get right now.
Yeah, we have a lacrosse rivalry like that, Bulldog.
You just can't get past this one team.
There's one team that always beats my kids' team, but they lose to other teams. It's really a dilemma.
Bad matchup.
Elijah Moore missed today, right?
Yeah, quite a few guys were out today, including like 4 receivers, by the way.
Right.
That includes Khalil Shakir, Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Tyrell Shavers. None of them practiced today. So, you're dipping it again to your depth chart. he did not. We'll see what happens. We don't have an update. We don't get official injury updates. You guys, good job on you guys, by the way, to ask about Dion because we didn't get an update on that. But,
yeah, that was on my list coming in because I even asked off the air, like, did McDermott talk today? And like, no, that was yesterday. Bean spoke today. I'm like, okay, so we don't know about Dawkins. There was no info online, so I thought, we should at least try to find that out.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll get information, after practice on certain guys, but in situations, but we didn't get anything today. So good on you. You guys got that. And then we'll see what happens with some of these receivers going forward. Curtis Samuel did do some work with trainers off to the side today, again, for a second straight day, which was good. No Cam Lewis today. Didn't see him anywhere, at all, so I'm not sure exactly what that was. I know I saw him yesterday walking into the field house after practice, so who knows? Maybe a personal day, maybe a vet rest, but vet rest would generally be on the field. It could be literally something like Dion, maybe something flared up. You never know with these kinds of things. But the good news was for today that both Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop returned, and they both did team drills today. So they're both in with the defense, not just doing positional.
Well, hopefully that carries over into Friday and then into Saturday's preseason game. Because even if lots of starters aren't going to play, the way McDermott's talking about these safeties and having the two of them together, time on task together, working together, that's a group. Even if the rest of the defensive starters aren't playing, I'd be advocating for Rapp and Bishop to get on the field for a series or two against the Bears. Maybe it'll be more than that. We'll see in the end. Sal, before we wrap up, I know just a week ago, last Tuesday was the debut, episode 1 of Hard Knocks. Mike did bring it up with Sean McDermott, and we had some fun talking about, how they take it in, if at all. Any takeaways? I watched it this morning, and, there were some powerful moments there. Terry Pagula talking about the situation in his own home, not knowing where the AED was, and just how sad that turned out to be, was very powerful. That would be my biggest takeaway was that. How about you?
My biggest takeaway is that it's really just kind of not providing any juicy storylines or drama, and it's exactly what the Buffalo Bills want, right? I mean, if they can have the next 2 episodes, whatever it is, 4, right? They can have the next 2 episodes exactly like the first 2, which is highlight some guys, have a few funny moments, have a few really cool plays at practice. I think that's perfectly fine with the Bills. It might not be juicy for the rest of the NFL and the NFL fan viewing audience. But I just think that's exactly right. I like, and I thought at some point they would focus on Joe Andreessen. They did that. That was really nice to see yesterday. Ray Davis, him, kicking, but I do wonder at some point, are they going to get into his story about, growing up in a foster home? I thought that might be something. It hasn't happened yet, but yeah, nothing juicy, and that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills want from this.
Vanilla, just like the preseason game plans. Not even French vanilla.
The best vanilla.
Creamy, not, kind of spicy and interesting. The vanilla bean is sort of it's vanilla, but we're still good. That's too strong for people. We're going to make it French vanilla. It's that soft.
I put French vanilla or hazelnut in my coffee. I don't drink regular creamer or milk or having that, but it's either French vanilla or hazelnut.
Ice cream? Literally ice cream?
No, he means the flavored creamers.
Okay.
About,
yeah.
That's an interesting move, though.
Yeah, notice they wouldn't have vanilla bean creamer because then it would be like putting sand in your coffee.
These game plans are vanilla.
You wouldn't be able to do that.
They're French vanilla. That's how lame they are. Yeah, I've heard the same thing as Sal said about Hard Knocks. There's no edge.
No.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that there's some criticism of that around the league and people watching, but, I think Bills are like, that's great. We'll take it. No doubt about it. Right. I do want to say before I go, guys, that, just on the injuries. So I posted the video today. Joshua Palmer he had what looked like his leg, really wrapped all the way from ankle to upper thigh on his left leg, and then a sleeve over it. But he did everything. He was in practice. And not only that, but he was really good today. It was a guy who caught my eye today. Joshua Palmer was making plays today, catching the ball, and he was doing it. I don't think he was 100%. And I'm like, man, this guy, he's tough. He's a gamer, and he's getting some chemistry here with Josh Allen. It's really interesting to see, considering, of course, the other receivers and them being out and some of the injuries they're dealing with. And I think it's a really obviously positive development here for the Bills and their offense.